Hello and welcome back to Podcasting as Practice. I'm David, my pronouns are he and him.
I'm James, my pronouns are they and them.
I'm Jamie, my pronouns are he and him.
I'm Rob, mine are he and him.
And I'm Alistair, my pronouns are also he and him.
And the music's by Jordan.
I'm amazed we got through that on the first try with the length of time you've been away, Rob.
Yeah, I was briefly happy, but now I'm back, so don't worry about it.
When Rob descended into the mountain the other week, something changed. He's not been the same since.
Yeah, that's what often happens when you descend into a mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking there. That's like Mines and Moria shit going on there.
Yeah.
Did you not post a photo of you in a fucking massive cave? You mountain descending son of a bitch.
It was... I went under a glacier and it was actually really cool.
I mean, I'd expect
and the guide, we were with the guide, and the guide was like, "Yeah, it's probably safe, but like we'll just go in there, and if it crashes, then we're all dead. So don't worry about it." I'm like, "All right,
what's the
cool,
rent
let's
like?"
Go.
We're gonna get to a point in this recording where Rob just starts saying "dur dur dur."
So, are we talking about the Arkenstone tonight, Rob?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's talk about the Arkenstone. I'll just bin off these fucking show notes I made.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. That's just obviously we're not doing that.
Oh, but I've seen the notes. I don't want to talk about any of this.
Yeah, well, too late. I'm back. That's your blessing and your curse. Yeah. Anyway, shall we just kick off then?
Mm-hmm.
Let's.
Yeah, briefly before we get into the actual short news bits, RIP to the UK Treasury's NFT collection. I'm very sad to say that they will not be coming out.
Oh man, I bought all this Bitcoin for nothing.
I was really looking forward to all my British Bulldogs gone. Like, it would have been great.
Yeah, but, we're going to have to find some other, credible project to put all our Patreon savings into, I'm afraid.
Listen, it's fine. Britain will always have a place in the crypto market so long as the word nonce is an actual term.
But we've already got the project. It's that fucking British chat GPT that we're using to compete with China.
Oh, that's true. We do, yeah.
Here's my question. Compete at what? What are we competing with against China?
Calling people nonces.
Yeah.
Hey, there's no competition. We're world class in that.
No, it's just competing with China. We can't afford to let there be a fucking chat GPT gap, apparently.
Yeah, but what is
AI, what if our AI was the one that built the fucking race of machines that eventually exterminated humanity and made the Matrix?
And delivered on the British ideal, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Facing down China in the Turing dojo.
Britain is finally going to release an uncensored, unfiltered, X-rated chat girlfriend that you can get horny with.
That'll be the thing that single-handedly salvages the economy. Looking at fucking have you seen that stuff? They were advertising that, and then they did a rug pull, and it was all oh well, you can have conversations, but it can't do sexting with you, and all the fucking weirdos
that
were
app
whining
that
about
was
it.
advertised on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, there's a gap in the market.
Yeah. So we're shortly going to replace this podcast with Mavis GPT, and that'll be great.
But everyone ran for Britain to make a chat AI girlfriend, but have to reboot it every 15 years.
Damn.
But I do have some other good news for you. We can finally move out of this big shoe that we've all been living in because Elon Musk has bought thousands of acres of ranch land in Texas, and he's going to build his own dream city. And I think we will be moving there because it sounds incredible. It sounds really good.
I can't wait to hear about the fucking, do you know what I mean? The great wave of dysentery deaths.
I've got to agree with you, Rob. It does sound incredible, as in not credible. Fantastic. What are these great features?
There's a long piece in the Wall Street Journal that I read. Mr. Musk and the employees of his companies have described his vision as a sort of Texas utopia along the Colorado River, where his employees could live and work. So, what if there was a town that belonged to a company, and the company was run by Elon Musk?
Well,
wow,
presumably
it's only special currency as well.
Presumably, it would burn down while everyone was dying of dysentery.
I mean, the names in this are quite amazing because apparently part of the incorporation, it's in several stages and stuff, is done by one of Elon's minions through a company called Gapped Bass LLC, which is just...
I think you find pronounced gapped bass is actually going to start. It's going to be a drum and bass utopia.
What if Reddit was a place on Earth?
Oh baby, do you know what that's worth? Several gold and other miscellaneous awards given in Fred, apparently.
So Gapped Bass LLC has filed paperwork for construction of 110 homes under under a plan called, and this is by their own description, Project Amazing.
Oh, that's how you know it's good.
Yeah,
Project Go Fuck Yourself.
They wouldn't call it Project Bad because that would mean it's bad. They're calling it Project Amazing because it's going to be great.
He is the most Reddit-brained motherfucker on the face of the earth.
Fucking detest the cunt. Would never tire of
admiring
his stupid fucking face.
He started as a fucking Reddit epic bacon cunt, but he's actually pushing so much hard into the cringe.
David, he's not even that cool though, because he was doing the fucking epic bacon Reddit shit like 6 years after it was like in its heyday.
Do you know what he reminds me of?
Yeah, and now he's doubling down on that, and he's travelling back into fucking E-bombs fucking territory.
He reminds me of shit. He reminds me of a shit Weeble and Bob is what he reminds me of.
Just wait till a few weeks' time when he's talking about all your base.
Replacing
when he finally discovers lolcats.
Yeah.
Wow, have you guys ever heard of this thing called seasteading?
Replacing the For You tab with Photoshop Fridays, yeah.
Yeah. Set up the zip line, you fucking coward.
To be fair, I would encourage all his hardcore followers to take the zip line. That's absolutely true.
Honestly, though, he'd be much less harmful for the world and probably happier in himself if he just remodeled bathrooms to look like Doom with all of his money.
Honestly, I think the day Elon Musk reaches Nirvana and decides he's going to sit down and actually make the Zyborn clock is the moment we actually do get global harmony. Johnny Five Aces will save us yet.
This is from the piece in the Wall Street Journal again. Mr. Musk, his former girlfriend, the singer Grimes, Kanye West, and Mr. West's architectural designers discussed several times last year what a Musk town might look like, according to people familiar with.
Wait, so he's working with Kanye West?
Yes.
I think the more startling part of that revelation is that Kanye West has architectural designers just on retainer.
No, I'm fairly certain he's just going to be deciding what kind of people aren't allowed there.
Jesus fucking Christ, I'm not sure we can keep that one. But, okay.
All right.
I think we should just abandon the podcast to be safe.
Yeah, let's let's
just go to the park.
This is not a place of honour.
We're not allowed to loiter in the park.
Well, we'd better get some loitering in before they make it illegal.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I pinky promise you we'll get to the loitering stuff. But if you're wondering what the difference is between reality and the grand visions of Elon Musk, again from the article, the site already includes a group of modular homes, a pool, an outdoor sports area, and a gym, according to Facebook photos and people familiar with the town. So it's got some
modular home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that just means shipping container, doesn't it?
Yes, pretty much.
Probably.
Yeah. Which
are we still going through a container shortage?
Yeah, we are, but don't worry about it.
Okay.
Also, I can't imagine a better place to live in Texas in say mid-August than a big steel container. I think that'd be very comfortable.
Look, if the fucking Saudis can build a big cube in the middle of the desert, we can build a smaller cube in the Texas.
But it's like it's definitely whatever's going on. It's not really good for like the local area, and like what they're doing there now doesn't really seem like anywhere I particularly would want to live, because they interviewed one of the locals like who was living there before they started building this stupid town, who'd been given absolutely no idea what's going on, why they're doing like a lot of boring company test tunnels on the site. So the same site where this village is going to be built is like riddled with boring tunnels. Which I can't imagine
the
ever being a
tunnel
problem.
These tunnels that have like one car go through them at like 20 miles an hour at a time. Just
Yes.
loads of those.
Yes.
Driven cars as well, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that sounds like effective infrastructure and not an absolute nightmare hellscape to have to live in.
Well, I mean, it gets better and more sustainable, Alistair, because apparently the Boring Company has also been given permits by the Texas government to ditch...
Hold on, Rob. Rob, is he digging all these holes because there's fucking emeralds under there? I mean, this is the only way this is making sense in my head.
I'm not really sure, but...
It's the fucking masculine urge to dig holes. Some of us have to do it in the backyard, but some of us can afford to buy Texas and do it there.
But yeah, the Boring Company has been given permission to discharge up to 140,000 gallons of wastewater every day into the local river. So I imagine that once they build the homes next to the river, that's going to be really pleasant living. He's trying to recreate England.
It's wastewater. It's wastewater. It'll be fine. There's already water in the river. There won't be any issues there.
Do they actually have their own like freshwater supply, or is it going to be like that fucking other place that's like up shit creek now because they would just borrowing like some libertarian fucking paradise to set up, and they were just like borrowing water supplies from a nearby town, and then there was a drought and the nearby town was like, no, you can't have any more water, fuck off. And now they're all crying about how the government needs to intervene and make the mean town nearby give the libertarians water.
It's even dumber than that, right? They were given water from a local town for 2 years, and we're told, right, you've got 2 years to sort out your own water supply. And once you sort out your own water supply, you're grand, but it's a 2-year time limit. And they did fuck all for those 2 years.
Oh, that just makes them seem relatable. I'm on their side now.
I know we were joking about it earlier, but this is just literally a goon project.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Have they considered taking the water from the pig trough?
Also, just, side note, but Elon Musk's latest big acquisition, Twitter.com, is apparently worth 20 billion now and not 44 billion like he paid for like 3 months ago.
No,
it's called business.
Is that because his taxes are due that it's suddenly mysteriously worth a lot less?
So yeah, that's the company town that this podcast will shortly be moving to. But in the meantime, in another sort of perennial favorite, I want to talk briefly about the metaverse. First, because apparently even Disney has fired its entire metaverse unit because even Disney has realized it's too stupid to live.
Metaverse unit. That makes them sound way more Tom Clancy than they were, I imagine. Just a bunch of guys with like 9 fucking lights on their goggles but no legs. Trying to work out how to breach and clear a room.
I watched Dan Olsen's new video about the metaverse.
Oh yeah,
which is it's great. It came out like yesterday, but it's great. It's even more bleak than you thought. It's just,
I mean, my starting point for the metaverse was Second Life, but infinitely stupider. So I'd be impressed if it gets bleaker than that.
It, by God, does it?
I think Second Life is still ahead.
Yeah, would you like to play Second Life, but with about 10 frames a second?
So Second Life. Anyway.
Damn, huge slam on Second Life out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, apparently they're launching a mobile version now just to like dance on the metaverse's corpse.
Wait, Second Life Mobile?
Yeah. I got a fucking thing on the Google News about it the other day. Apparently, they're building it in Unity, which is why it came to my phone, because I get news about Unity.
Oh, so it's like a whole separate project. Okay, right. Sorry. I just wasn't sure how all the furry porn infrastructure would translate to a touch interface on your mobile, but sure, okay.
I mean, I have no idea. I think it's going to connect to the same servers. I think.
Well, if you were ever gonna migrate anything to Unity, furry porn feels like it's going to be one of those things that'll be very quickly implemented.
Yeah.
Porn does, in fact, drive innovation, so sure, yeah, all right.
Specifically furry porn in this instance.
If Skyrim has taught me anything, yeah, anyway.
Skyrim hasn't taught you anything, let's be real.
No, Skyrim can't teach you anything. Anyway, so there was this incredible piece that I wanted to talk about in New York Magazine by Paul Murray. But it's not about Decentraland, but it is about Infinity Worlds, the Facebook metaverse, or I should say the metaverse thing. Who is
they have legs now.
No,
sure
they don't. Not yet. No.
Oh,
that's
okay.
that's still a work in progress.
Now.
The piece is called, and if you're listening, if you want to read it, I highly encourage you. It's in New York Magazine by Paul Murray, and it's called "Who is Still Inside the Metaverse?" This is a guy. But basically, he moves to the US for work, and he's stuck in the American suburbs without any friends and any way of getting to friends or making friends. So, sort of as an effort, he's like, "Well, I'll go to the metaverse and see if I can make some friends there." And it has results.
And now he's a serial killer.
I'm just going to quote a few choice lines, but I'm not going to read the whole thing because the main topic is something else essentially. I'll just start reading you a bit. I'm busy contemplating my legless torso when I hear laughter in the room. Lifting my MetaQuest headset, I see that my son has come into the office unbeknownst to me and evidently finds my appearance amusing. What are you doing? I'm in virtual reality, I say. You look like that leopard in India that's got its head stuck in a pot, he says. Because apparently what happens is the Oculus headset that you wear for the Facebook metaverse thing is you have to like clear a space around you, and if you walk too close to like say a bookcase or something, like the real world starts intruding through in like grainy black and white. Yeah. It's like The Ring.
It's a VR headset, but if you get too close to a wall, you die 7 days later.
Before you die, you see the metaverse definitely feels kind of on brand and some kind of it's one of these higher truths, these transcendental rightnesses that I can't quite explain, but feels right.
Well, was that guy that tried to brute force it by building a fucking explosive into a headset, didn't he?
It's called forward thinking.
Rapid forward thinking.
While some people have experienced harassment in Horizon Worlds, the major problem is children. Under 13s aren't supposed to use their headset, but the app is overrun with children occupying their parents' avatar, meaning that the conversations are constantly interrupted by 1. Apparent adults asking you in high-pitched voices if you like poop, and 2. Calls to decide if the poop person should be removed.
An entire
if the poop person does get removed, then it's fucking rigged.
I tell you what, I've changed my mind. This thing sounds fucking brilliant.
An entire culture, an entire world, an entire virtual space built on the premise of what if that one BBC interview where the guy's interrupted by his children was everything? I love it. Let's do it.
It's like early 2000s forum culture, except the concept of personal space has been foisted upon you and there's nothing you can do about it.
This is going to be actually the next big like British tech gizmo that we get like foisted upon us to prove how futuristic the nation is. The British metaverse, because they don't allow children.
Yeah. Yeah. No NOS canisters allowed in the metaverse. It's a very serious place after all.
I'll tell you what, if it was Second Life, you could definitely build like an app to just create replicating NOS canisters that filled everything. That would be actually quite good and very on brand.
After clearing through the warning messages, I can navigate an array of worlds. The word is misleading because these worlds, most of which have been designed by users themselves, range from small to very, very small. Technical limitations restrict the number of people in a single instance of a world to 32 or fewer. A lot of the worlds I visit have no one in them at all.
Look, I'm sorry, but fucking Blizzard had this technology cracked in like 2007.
Yes, with 40 people in it.
Yeah.
Let's have our group meeting in Battlefield so that if any of you piss me off, you can shoot me. Like, that would be the better way to do it than this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we go there now?
First time the podcast has ever unanimously passed a motion. Instead of doing a podcast, let's just start a fucking Counter-Strike team. See where that gets us. And then just to remain
number one most annoying team in the world, baby.
Yeah, to remain on theme with the metaverse, I'm just going to get my kid to play instead of me.
A man in a fedora bobs by. His username...
Oh, fucking hell. That's it, Rob. You've killed me.
So it's less Counter-Strike and more TF2.
His username, Nutsack Sandwich, floating over his head. Hi, I say. Sorry. Hi, I say. He said he wanted to eat my penis, Nutsack Sandwich says to me in a high-pitched child's voice.
Look, in the olden days, you used to have to put an ad out in the newspaper.
Yeah,
so,
in the German newspaper. Yeah, you'd have to do a whole song and dance about it. This is my first conversation in the metaverse. And here we get into a distinctly British vibe all of a sudden. I go into a house where I meet a couple from the north of England. The woman keeps making strange gestures with her hands as if she was trying to tunnel through the air. Ooh, you are naughty, she says. Is she talking to me? Oh, sorry, she says. I'm in bed and my dog is burrowing under the quilt. Oh, I say, this is my second conversation in the metaverse. I swear this fucking thing is going to kill me.
This isn't even the main article. Like, what the fuck?
I'll just read you two more bits and then we'll go to the main topic, which is a bit less whimsical. People are always hating on Zuck, Impala expert says. That doesn't mean they're wrong, I say. I don't know, man. I'm just here to have a good time and maybe pick up some MILFs. Pick them up, I repeat. But what we... Pick them up.
Come to the metaverse. We've got MILF Jenga.
Stoya.
Pick them up, I repeat. But what will you do with them? Oh, I'll do, Impala expert says mysteriously.
Mysteriously.
Later, I asked somebody named Space Angel 7 what she would recommend to do in the metaverse, and she tells me she really enjoyed sitting in on Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. Are you an alcoholic? No. Did they mind you being there? Well, when they found out, they got pretty angry, yeah. So, I can't wait to leave my mortal form behind and spend my days with the MILF, with the digital MILF hunter, and someone fucking
MILF
cruising AA
AA
meetings like it's Fight Club.
Yeah, MILF Expert 7's got a lot to contribute.
Fucking untold billions have been poured into this fucking shit, and it's just this. I can't. Incredible scenes. Just truly capitalism is the best way of distributing resources for anybody involved.
Mm-hmm.
How much did Meta spend on this shit again? Multiple billions of dollars.
I think like 30 billion last year alone or something. Like, it's a lot. It's like double-digit billions for sure. Actually, let me look that up.
They could have just bought VR chat. That had legs.
Doesn't it also have grot?
Not officially.
So yes.
Oh yeah, Alistair, it's about $10 billion a year that Meta spends on the metaverse.
Money well spent.
Hmm.
I mean, podcast subsidies are hard to come by, so we'll take it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for just a snip of that, we will move this fucking podcast into the metaverse, and you will just have to suffer through us leglessly, sitting around with a max audience of 27. It'll still be better value.
Looking forward to squaring the circle of me not being perceived, even in that form.
We'll still hide David. It'll be fine.
We can build you a little Kaaba to hide inside. That'll be really good, actually.
Only if it's in the form of the new one.
Sorry, just got to mental image of a Ushanka bobs past me.
Ushanka with no legs. Anyway, from the massively unsuccessful and quite whimsical to the British government today, in a jarring shift in tone. I had a lot of things to do for today, but then I think yesterday or somewhere this week, I can't fucking remember anymore. What is time? The government has launched its new anti-social behaviour action plan, which I've read cover to cover, and I'm going to tell you about it. About the fine plans that it has to finally get, society going again through the medium of, mainly violence and fines, I think. And some money for parks. So it's not all bad, but we'll get there.
Is Tesco going to fucking sue them for the announcement logo thing that they made up for it?
It's very Tesco, isn't it? It's a very Tesco value policy, this, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to post it again for you lot, but
Yeah, fucking hell.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Stick that on a plastic bag.
Yeah, and then smother me with the fucking thing.
Is this just for Tesco Value Labour Crime Week, essentially? Is that what we've got here?
Sort of, but in its own way, it's stupider and more cruel and vicious.
So
the Pepsi. It's the Pepsi to Labour's Coke.
Yeah. That's not
Labour made a big fucking song and dance about it and managed to influence the Tories by pushing them further to the right.
Yes.
Well done.
Look, David, you said you wanted Labour to move the Overton window, and you've got your wish.
I said I wanted them to be put through the Overton window.
Sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of this fucking guy talking about MILFs.
So this is a little bit from the introduction itself. The government is clear. Acts of antisocial behaviour are unacceptable. They are the ultimate form of disrespect. They disrupt and damage...
Shut the fuck up.
What's their Twitch channel, then?
They disrupt and damage our quality of life. They corrode communities, make victims feel powerless, and can leave places degraded and neglected. Well, I mean, I'd hate to see that happen.
I think they've got their fucking cause and effect the wrong way around there.
Well, I think you'll find, Alistair, that's going to be kind of a pattern throughout this fine report action plan. Tesco Value Action Plan. And all of this, it relates to the broader agenda of levelling up, because if you're doing ASBO things, you don't have pride of place. And if you don't have pride of place, you can't level up. You see, it sort of works like that.
This is literally just ripping off that fucking report by the briefcase wanker, isn't it?
Yep.
The report from the briefcase wanker is mentioned several times in this report.
Oh, great.
Oh.
But don't worry, Rishi Sunak as well has written a foreword, or I don't know, some intern has done it for him. Strong communities are bound by a golden thread. The idea that we should treat others as we would like to be treated ourselves. I know that's how the vast majority of this people in this country act. So much of our happiness and pride stems from that idea and having peace of mind in the places we call home. Yet, there's a small minority whose antisocial behavior makes other people's lives a misery. And I would say, yes, they're called the 1%. I doubt
it's easy enough for that cunt to talk about like feeling secure in the place he lives because he lives in a bulletproof house surrounded by fucking like armed guards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is this right, Rob? Can I kind of skip ahead a bit? Is this going to turn into here is the groundwork and pretext we're going to lay for doing like essentially, structured violence against minorities who do things like listen to foreign music and like cook foods that smell a bit funny? Is it going to be that kind of shit?
It's not that specific, but that is definitely what it will be used for. Yes,
the kids for being outdoors.
It is also that. It is. It's the handshake meme, but for those two things at the same time.
The kids need to stay indoors where they're not bothering people, so that journalists can complain about kids never playing outside anymore.
Yeah, well, but as long as they're inside, they can't be on their dang phone because then they, will catch being trans and communist or something. Or become slaves of the Chinese army through TikTok. I think that's how it goes. It is simply unacceptable that anyone should have to live in fear of intimidation from their neighbors or gangs terrorizing their streets.
Not anyone. It's perfectly acceptable that some people should have to deal with that.
That parks and children's play areas should be littered with empty nitrous oxide canisters. We've got to
keep those children's play areas child-free.
No, you have to keep them. It's like a fish pond. You have them keep them fully stocked with children for later.
I love that this is basically like this whole nitrous thing. It's like we have a littering problem. Therefore, the solution to this problem is to ban consumption of something that's relatively harmless. Like it's a littering problem. It's just a fucking littering problem. That's it. But it's
I think
actually,
James, that's you'll find that is actually the cause of all of Britain's ills.
Yeah, it's not a littering problem; it's a children having fun problem.
How dare those
damn teenagers going outside and doing things?
How dare those children be laughing in a park? It's just
in my day, we used to let like fucking people like clip us round the ear, and then we went, "Thank you, sir," and then like that's how we respected our elders and won World War II. Says a 50-year-old man.
This is why we are launching this new action plan, because antisocial behavior is not a low-level crime. It is not just a nuisance or an irritant. It ruins communities. We need to stamp it out, and we can. There is nothing inevitable about it.
David, there you go. It's broken Overton Windows theory. Excellent. You've got your wish.
And congratulations, James. The wording broken Windows theory come back in this report later on as a positive thing.
Celebrate good times.
So he goes on to mention...
No, absolutely not, James.
Yeah.
He goes on to mention some of the headline policies, more urgency as it comes to tackling antisocial behavior, zero drug tolerance, and also more power for landlords to make it easier to evict people deemed to be a nuisance.
Zero drug tolerance would be great, though. You get high for much cheaper.
I know that when I want to keep people off the street, I make them homeless.
Yes. Oh, don't worry about it. The homeless will also be coming back later in this report.
We're all gonna like light the homeless on fire.
No, we're just going to make their existence even more miserable. Yes. They're not going to prohibit begging per se, but they are going to make it physically impossible for unhoused people to do that without violating the law and therefore being arrested or moved on, as this report.
Have you got a license for that poverty?
It's nuisance begging. That's the problem.
Exactly.
If a middle class person sees you, then you're doing it wrong.
Exactly. You should very politely beg. You should. I don't know. I don't even know how.
Should live at the bottom of the wishing well from the Goonies and just survive on the coins that get thrown down there.
Look, as we all know, homeless people are begging on the streets, and it's all a lie because they all own BMWs and they make thousands of pounds a week.
Yeah.
And
they
it's wrong for them.
They accept contactless payments.
Yeah, and Alistair, you need to understand that is a bad narrative. That is strictly untrue. What it is organised foreign criminal gangs have got like beggars on the street for us, right? That's what's the real cost of it is.
James,
pushing out honest British entrepreneurs.
James, just to double check for a second, did you read this report as well? Because
no,
that too
Rob,
will be making a comeback.
I'm plugged into the soul of this benighted fucking country, and I read the Tony Blair book previously, and it's just a framework for all of this. Enough. So,
anyway, so the whole of this will get £160 million of new funding, which that sounds like some money at least. So it's like, well, how would that average out? Because a lot of this, I think, is supposed to be done by like councils essentially. So it turns out the UK, if you tot them all up, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, they almost have 400 councils between them. So for all of this to work means a whopping extra funding of £402,000 per council. It's
excellent.
It won't be divided that evenly, but that's sort of the number you have to be working with. And keep that number in mind as we sort of go through this, because the division of funding is not equal between the different things they're trying to do, to put it very mildly.
They can't even do a fucking police state well. You don't even want to invest in the fucking cops.
That's the one upside to all of this. Like, the funding of this is so shit that most of this will never happen, which is good because it's fucking appalling and fascist.
Oh, so if you're ever affected by antisocial behaviour, the government will just send you one of those fucking mosquito dispersal devices.
On a per citizen basis, what the government will do is like what your dementing nan used to do, which is literally tape a penny to like a postcard and then send it to you. Like, that's about the level of funding we're talking about. 5p, I should probably say. That sounds about right. Anyway, by doing all the things that we will be discussing, we will have strong communities, flourishing families, business investment, pride in place, and hope as well. Because all these things
feels like something of a reach.
No. All these things were being stopped by the demon that is known as antisocial behavior, hopped up on nitrous oxide, as they are wont to be.
The Americans have fentanyl and the British have nitrous oxide. Like, it's just like, you can just get like a fucking one of those huge cylinders of that shit and you just spray it at a fucking OAP and they'll just flee in terror.
Basically, the introduction, a lot of this is incredibly repetitive, so I've cut vast chunks of this out. But they do say a few incredibly funny things, such as, this plan sets out a new framework for the government, police forces, police and crime commissioners, local authorities and other partners, including housing associations and youth offending team and others and charities, to work together to address the many drivers of antisocial behavior. To which my question would be, were you not already doing that? What were you doing before? If you were cooperating with each other. I don't know, but Oh, and we also get a nice list of what all the various different partners in this scheme and stratagem are supposed to do individually as well as collectively. James, and this is where I come back to you. Police will adopt a common sense or broken windows approach to policing, which means tackling problems of neighborhood crime and antisocial behavior where they occur and intervening early to prevent growing disorder. Now, I hope I don't...
No, they fucking won't. No, they won't. No, they won't.
I'm looking forward to the Bobby on the beat basically have discretion to go kind of Judge Dredd on you if he feels like it, but on the net effect, it doesn't really, it doesn't affect that much. It's only if you just have the bad fortune to run across a cop. So, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but don't worry about it, James, because it's not only going to be the Bobby on the beat anymore. Local authorities will also be allowed to employ neighborhood wardens who will have the power to issue fines and take appropriate action against perpetrators. So we're going to get neighborhood wardens, which sounds very impressive. Oh, and also some of the people who are going to be cooperating this is landlords. They will get new powers to work to ensure that no one lies in misery with antisocial neighbors. A power that...
but any other form of misery, completely acceptable.
Other forms of misery, yes, are distinctly British and therefore fine and good.
Dying of mold, acceptable. Being, slightly loud at 10:05, completely unacceptable.
They do, Alistair, by the way, I know because this is something you often ask about. They do actually define their terms, which is nice.
Oh my god.
I know, it's a wonderland today. Antisocial behavior covers criminal and non-criminal behaviors, including but not limited to intimidating behavior such as threatening or unruly behavior, drunkenness, harassment, and loitering in public spaces, drug use, and the paraphernalia, mess, and disruption that can go with it. So I think that's the nose canister.
I'm never going to bother asking. There's no point in asking what disruption occurs.
Being poor.
Smelling weed.
Slipping over a fucking nitrous canister and that fucking Hanna-Barbera noise of slipping playing when it happens.
Just generally spoiling the vibe for the middle classes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, Starmer said that the smell of weed ruins lives. Completely
He did,
destroys
yes,
them.
he did. I have that quote, actually. Let me dig it out for you. It was incredible. He did a speech as well about being tough on crime, like, last week. Oh, yeah, here it is.
Yep.
This is from Starmer in last week's Tough on Crime speech, where he said, this is a direct quote, "There is a family in my constituency. Every night, cannabis smoke creeps from the street outside into their children's bedroom, aged 4 and 6. That's not low level. It's ruining their lives."
They're calling it reefer madness.
Also,
I'd recharacterised the smell of weed as like death from a fucking 80s public information film.
Yeah, I know it's like generally bad form to tell people how they can solve legitimate problems that they're concerned with when they don't ask for the advice, but you could just close the window and then tell whoever's like smoking outside to fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if it's a youth, Jamie? You can't tell them to fuck off. They might like.
It could be bigger boys.
Yeah, what if they called you Clean Shirt?
We need to solve the epidemic of BAMs being everywhere.
Yeah.
Also, like, I hate to nitpick about this, but surely the smell depends on the quality of the weed being done, because some weed smells pretty great when it's being smoked, and some weed smells absolutely fucking horrendous. And surely the solution to this is not to like come down hard, but to, legalize weed and maybe set I don't know, just
maybe that
I'm
4 and 6-year-old should get better taste.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there, James, because in my experience, all that shit smells the same.
Yeah, I mean, fucking come on, little Billy, you're not supposed to smoke the stems. Jesus
Is
Christ.
it a sativa or an indica? And I just tell them, shut the fuck up.
Stop being such a fucking square, kids.
So they go on to cite some like dreadful polling that I didn't fully look into because I only have so much time and so much will to live. That claimed that most people think that their local area has gotten worse in the last 10 years is due to antisocial behavior, not, the ongoing breakdown of British society, several economic crises, and the pandemic.
All these symptoms seem to have reared their head.
What if all those fucking like dismantlings of the local community and like lack of things to do is what's causing the antisocial behaviour? And to be clear, antisocial behaviour is in big air quotes there, because I'm sure what they mean is we saw a child on the street.
Yes, not making linen coats productively somewhere.
Yeah, are you standing on a corner? Fuck you.
Yeah, the children aren't where they rightfully should be, which is dying of toxin inhalation in a meatpacking plant.
Yeah,
we've got a lot to learn from Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Yes. Anyway, apparently some polling that they did also found that 68% of people think that the police have given up on low-level crime. And it's like, yeah, that's true, because their job is not to prevent crime. They're just the armed state authority. That's, we have talked about this extensively on this podcast. And then they show some maps where they've done some more polling, where they've asked people whether or not they have perceived or experienced antisocial behavior. So they've just asked, like, Insane Mavis, the curtain twitcher, whether or not she's perceived antisocial behavior. Both of these maps
do have a whole life to answer that fucking question.
Yeah, exactly. Both these maps do have an amazing footnote, though. Being based on small sample sizes, police force area estimates from whatever institute are less robust than national level estimates and should be treated with caution. I should add that these maps are splashed out fully over 2 pages, and the footnotes are very, very small.
You love to see it.
The report then goes on to outline 6 different policy areas, some more fleshed out than others, saying not just like what we've done, i.e. what money we've spent, what programs are in place, but then I genuinely, and I'm not shitting you, the next like subheading for all of them is to say how we will go further, which is fucking incredible.
That absolutely cut the legs out from under
Has
Her
anyone
Majesty's loyal opposition.
I love the fact that just occasionally I'm reminded that, for all that, my job is sometimes a struggle, I do actually have more skill than some of the people who get paid for megabucks for this. Jesus fucking Christ, write some copy.
Yeah, that must feel great.
Yeah, it feels really, it's excellent,
Yeah, it's really good for the old self-esteem.
Basically how I feel whenever I have to use an app.
So the first policy area, would it be a surprise to you? It's called tougher punishment. This is apparently because, as I said, antisocial behavior is not a low-level crime because it annoys the Daily Mail reader and also destroys communities as a whole. Therefore, the average citizen of Britain should have every right to expect that the persistent perpetrators will face swift and certain immediate justice, and those words are capitalized.
Oh, is this Tony Blair having the cops march you to a cash point?
Pretty close,
Isn't
actually.
that back, is it?
Although also under the what we've already done section, they mention that they did a program in Bradford to like tackle ASB that they literally call clear, hold, and build. Which, for those of you who remember, that's the strategy we used in Afghanistan and Iraq when we fought insurgents there and lost badly. Anyway, we will go further. This is
but I dare say Bradford's not as well armed.
Not yet. I mean,
this is very strong. The periphery of the Empire's tactics comes back to the metropole. Goddamn.
James, that would never happen. Where do you get this absolute drivel from?
David,
the tactics apply to the Imperial core. I mean, come on, we have this infinite space to expand into. So this is immediate justice. As part of changing the system to stamp out...
They're going to up the 3% response rate of the judges to 4%.
I mean, close. As part of changing the system to stamp out antisocial behavior, we will provide the tools and funding to dispense immediate justice by issuing out-of-court...
immediate justice.
Are they also going to dispense wisecracks at the same time?
It depends whether they're going for Stallone Dread or for the more recent one.
By issuing out
They haven't got the budget for the more recent
They're definitely concerned about urban dread.
By issuing out-of-court disposals with conditions to swiftly repair any damage, the aim being for them to start within 48 hours of the offence. So the idea is that if you do like a bit of graffiti or something cool like that, you would, within 48 hours be clapped in irons and made to, repaint the fence or something, while I assume Tom Sawyer whistles a merry tune.
Wow, Keir Starmer's going to be all over this.
Use a spray can that's been in the tenant machine to suck the graffiti back off the wall.
Yeah, Keir Starmer's going to love this. He loves dispensing justice within the same day of a crime, scare quotes, being perpetrated, and nothing bad has happened as a result.
No, and also I assume that within those 48 hours, whoever's just been yanked into a police station will have full access to legal representation and things of this nature. I'm just spitballing here, but I can't imagine it will work any other way, because that would be, that's somewhat contrary to the principles of a state with an independent judiciary and a process of law.
Let's just cut to the chase. Britain will never be safe until we can extraordinarily rendition BAMs.
Pretty much, yes. And also, this is a straight lift from Labour. Victims and communities will have a say in shaping the consequences perpetrators face, and will see justice being done. Offenders will wear high-vis vests and be working under supervision.
Who's looking forward to that? This is purely for Brenda, who's spent the last 300 years in twitching the fucking hyperbolic time curtains. That's
Yes.
it. Like, this isn't for anyone else. What
Well,
the
I mean-
high-vis vests add to it? How does that achieve anything?
It will make them
What's the
visible
point?
to like the suburb homeowners who drive by in their Land Rover, and then they drive by to their wealthy enclave, and they'll feel really good about justice being done. It'll be very positive.
Yeah, it's going to be great though. Because
Surely-
once they issue all the BAMs with high vis, they can then just walk into any building in the country and just pretend they're meant to be there, and no one will question it.
Yeah. Yeah, if one of them finds a clipboard, the government is fucked.
Yeah.
Also, I was reminded, not a little bit. You remember it must have been like a decade ago by now, or maybe more at this point. There used to be that like fucking racist piece of shit sheriff Joe Arpaio in Arizona who
that
did
cunt,
exactly this, and then the whole world was like, "Wow, that's disgusting!" and what the fuck is that intrusion on civil liberties? And 10 years later, here it is for everybody as a little treat. Isn't that nice? The amount of hours, by the way, of community service that will be done in Britain is going to be upped from, I don't know what it is now, but to like 8 million hours a year. How this is to be done is unexamined. It will just like,
Is that a quota I smell?
Yes, it's an upped quota. Also something that's never gone wrong in the past, I think. I mean, I don't remember this, obviously, because I sand my brain down after every episode. And they will also be doing stuff that, councils used to pay people for, clearing graffiti. Also, clearing brownfield land is something that apparently is now going to be done in a high-vis jacket.
So we've given them high-vis jackets, we've given them a clipboard, we're also giving them access to like JCBs and backhoes and things like that.
Things
Cool.
of that nature, yes. And also they'll be doing park service and maintenance. And also, this is going to be fucking incredible.
You must be wearing a high-vis jacket to enter this park.
We're going to be able to get a voting website to see like what these crims should be doing. The probation service will be relaunching the community payback nominations website earlier next year.
Sorry, right. Let me run through this. So you can be a youth hanging out in a park, and if a middle class person decides we don't want you there, then Judge Nan comes along and fucking summarily judges you that you're going to do community service. You can get pulled up in front of a board where the middle class people and Judge Nan all vote for you to do maintenance work on the park, and so now you're hanging out in the park again wearing a high-vis vest, and now the middle class person approves of your presence there because you're in a service role.
Yeah, because Judge Nan now is standing next to you with a clipboard, so everything's sorted.
James, they've like served it up to us on a platter. Like, you know how pretty much every internet poll in history.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I can't wait until the kids are sentenced to Boaty McBoatface.
Yeah. Fuck. 12 months of Hulk Hogan meat shoes.
Yeah.
Not only can you nominate payback projects, you can also report antisocial behavior online for if you just don't like some people or something, which I can't imagine will be abused by anyone for any reason whatsoever. Anyway, second category, we are going to crack down on illegal drugs, that thing that we haven't been doing before.
So we're going to go into the skyscrapers in the city, are we, and start dragging white collar dudes out by the scruff of their neck?
You'd think so, but it is already illegal to sell nitrous oxide, sometimes known as laughing gas, for its psychoactive effect. But don't worry about it, because people, including young people, from what I hear from reading the Telegraph, still use it sometimes. So what they're going to do is make nitrous oxide a Class C scheduled drug, which means that you can get jail sentences as well as unlimited fines for supply and possession of NOS canisters.
This is one of those things where it's going to collide with reality, and a whole bunch of people in the catering industry are going to go, "Yo, what the fuck?"
No. They specifically say they're going to work. They're going to work with industry, so they still have access. So you can get your foamy frappuccino. It just can't fall in the hands of youths.
Far be it from me to drag this lofty goal of cracking down on the heinous drug consumption of nitrous, but like. That literally cannot happen. Like, you just got fucking loads of this shit sitting behind fucking counters at Starbucks. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to do, like, a fucking background check on every single person that works at a coffee shop? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, what you do is you just use it as a very convenient excuse to sack whoever you like if one of them happens to go missing.
Yeah, this is Britain. That's kind of factored in, Alistair. Like, the question is, do we want to do more, like, onerous intrusion into your personal life? The answer is yes. Like they will be
gonna,
doing it before you finish asking the question.
They're just going to ban fancy coffee because it's not like what the Red Wall wants. It's not very streets of Detroit to drink coffee, is it?
No, the Red Wall cannot see or comprehend a frothy coffee, so it's like it's only grey sludge water for the true heroes of Britain and Mavis. The report also, for some fucking reason, proudly states that, you know, this is against the advice of the government's own advisory council on the misuse of drugs, but they've decided to go ahead with it anyway because they're just cool like that. I think I may be right in saying that particular the Council on the Misuse of Drugs may be like the most bullied organization in the entire United Kingdom, apart from maybe mermaids, but for more disgusting reasons, obviously.
It's a great gig. Like, you get appointed to it, and you can do as much or as little work as you want, and it won't matter. Like,
no.
You know,
because the government will overrule you anyway.
Anyway, it's important to have one, but never to use it. Kind of like a fire extinguisher for your kitchen, I guess, except less useful.
Yeah, they're also going to expand like the number of reasons for which you can be tested for drugs, including, let me quote, all nighttime economy-related offending.
All
of it. So if you're Batman, you know, keep clean.
So hang on. Nighttime economy related, is it
yes.
graffiti tagging, is that it?
I don't know. Nighttime economy related, that's literally what it says.
Pubs and clubs, isn't it?
Yes, pubs, clubs, kebab shops, all these things. If you're rowdy in a kebab shop and you're not, you know, wearing several layers of Ralph Lauren, then presumably you have a problem.
I mean, they're going to be drug testing all these people and going, these people are just fucking pissed.
No, that's allowed. That's very British. That's good. Like, if you're pissed on a Friday night, like if you're hanging out in like All Bar One or something and then get into your Audi, you are being a productive part of the economy. Whereas if you're sitting in a park having a frappuccino, then clearly you must be, you know, executed at once by Mavis. So apart from that, they're also going to test violence against women, domestic abuse, serious violence charges, as well as all antisocial behavior charges. So if you're loitering in a park now, the police can just randomly test you for drugs if they feel like it. And they can not just test for the stuff they test for now, which is pretty much only heroin and cocaine, but they are going to expand the testing to include ecstasy, methamphetamines, as well as cannabis, ketamine, and speed. So for everything now, you're going to be tested for any reason. If you're loitering, if you're not inside,
then.
I mean, like, is this not just going to fall by the wayside when it turns out the cops pretty much aren't interested? Like, yeah, like we said this earlier. Like, this is just the cops will do it because they are the magic law fairies that will just magically make all the bad people go to prison.
Yeah, but what if you're like a local police department or crime commission or whatever, and you need to like fucking juice your stats to get like the new budget in? There's young people sitting in a park fucking anywhere. Like, if you want to boost like your number of arrests, you can just fucking go in and swoop everybody up under the age of, I don't know, 25 or something.
Yeah.
You know, numbers done or in one day, essentially, really good. They are also going to, apart from, you know, prosecuting more people for drugs and banning NOS, they are going to be, and this is again a quote, encouraging orderly behavior. And if you're wondering what that subsection is, that says, we will give landlords even more powers than they already have.
Hooray.
In the private rented sector, 1 in 3 landlords who have ended a tenancy self-report that they did so because their tenant engaged in antisocial behavior. You know, presumably like put up a picture, have a cat, you know, things of this nature.
Had the temerity to ask why the rent was being increased.
Yes.
Yeah.
More likely, the landlord couldn't put the rent up by as much as they wanted to, so they found a recourse to evict them. And then when it was back on the market, that meant that they could set the rent at whatever they wanted and thus get the bump they needed. Just a thought.
James, I think you're having a very negative set of thoughts about the housing providers that do so much for the UK.
Am I being antisocial towards landlords? Is that it? God
Yeah,
damn it.
I'm afraid we're going to have to evict you from this podcast, James. I'm very sorry.
You can't be antisocial to things that aren't human.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll get even more powers. They are going to, if they evict you on grounds of antisocial behaviour, they can give you a 2-week notice period. Again, I assume that in those 2 weeks,
Jesus fucking Christ.
you as a tenant will have recourse to legal advice, a possible court date, all the things that you would be able to avail yourself to, and of course, appropriate legal counsel provided free of charge.
I can't fucking do this. I have 80 odd days notice about the eviction I'm currently going through, and it's fucking tight. It's fucking
Yes, it
tight.
is. It really is.
What the? If my landlord had given me 2 weeks notice, I'd be homeless. No question, right? And I have a fucking good income and tons of money. I'd still be fucking homeless. You know?
You shouldn't have had that criminal cat then. I think we can all agree.
Just unfucking believe. 2 weeks. What fucking planet are you on where you think that someone can rearrange their life in 2 weeks? Oh, sorry, I forget. It's Britain. We don't care about other people.
Oh,
You know the way that they can just stop your fucking benefit money and there's fuck all you can do about it until you wait for all of the appeals processes to go through.
Yeah.
And it's fuck you until that point, and if you die in the meantime, well, system works. Same shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Sorry. By the way, you know how I was talking about a court system and how you could have representation stuff. They also say that they want to speed up the courts as well as introduce legislation that would force judges to consider the impact on landlords, neighbors, and housemates. Shit.
I like how landlords is literally the first one in that list. That's just
Yeah.
little, tiny little layers of just fuck you, just layered one upon another.
I mean, and the only the glimmer of a silver lining, which of course is I'm fairly certain the one that won't be enforced, is this legislation would also affect big rented accommodations where people have Airbnb parties. So that can be a genuine pain in the ass, but I'm also entirely convinced that will not be enforced because people are making money off those things quite substantially.
Also, Airbnb should be destroyed. So
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And also, landlords will be given closure powers where they don't need to check with the police or council where it concerns premises that are being used or will be likely to be used to commit nuisance or disorder. So,
likely to be used. How? Right.
So let's
how
say...
How do you measure that?
Let's say, I don't know, I'm just pulling an example out of thin air because this would never happen in Britain. Let's say you have a really old and very convivial pub where sometimes live music is played and, all of a sudden next door they turn what was, an old factory or something into a fucking yuppie warehouse with really expensive apartments. And then the landlord who might want to turn your current pub and live music venue into more of those shitty flats, they can say, well, I'm worried now that this premise is being used to commit nuisance. And then, your nightlife is gone and the venue is gone and, the happy memories that people have with that might be gone. I'm not saying this will happen because this would never happen in Britain, of course. Let's be sure.
Yeah, and especially when you ignore all the times that has happened.
I'm just
you have to do that. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that crucial step that you do have to hit yourself in the head with a very big hammer.
Quietly.
I'm just picturing Elijah's collective news. Sorry, no, what am I saying? Collective music kind of venue that he's got up in Aberdeen. I'm just picturing that. It's it's been run by a bunch of commies, so it's very likely drug taking will occur there, and boom, that's it. We're going to close it. It just absolute. This is demented, genuinely demented.
But if we don't have the power to just arbitrarily close down music venues, how are landlords supposed to sell more luxury flats?
This is right. So we're reaching a crisis point in Britain that. I know, right? We're in a perpetual crisis of various different means, but here's an actual serious crisis point. Winston fucking Churchill got this, and this is not, you've not got to hand it to him, but the whole way that landlords work is they are dependent on other economic activity happening, but the more you increase the proportion of the economy that is given over to landlordism, the less real economy is happening, the less the value of that landlord activity. For example, what makes a community a nice place to live is things like the live music venues and the good places for your children to play and all this kind of shit.
James, how dare you bring up things like contradictions of things like that?
Tightening. I know, right?
Also,
there's landlord money to be made, you know?
Yeah, you're not supposed to live in luxury flats. Do you know? They're supposed to be investment opportunities.
But this
you don't live there because there's a nice music venue nearby. You live there because you've been priced out of literally everywhere else.
It's like, in all seriousness, though, this set of arrangements they're proposing is going to do massive economic harm to the UK. Like, just net economic harm, no upside.
Look, the rentier economy is good and productive, and I don't really get what your beef is with, quite frankly. Because that's what we have in the UK. Oh, and by the way, this is not in the report, but this is according to the Times, which I'm guessing is a better brief than the people who wrote this fucking thing. These faster 2 weeks evictions will also start applying to tenants who fall behind on rent. Because presumably, if you fall behind on rent, you are a nuisance to your landlord.
You'll be spending all that rent money on NOS.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does this mean that I can just have the cops sicked on someone because they keep calling me and now find that annoying?
Probably.
Yes, probably.
Try it.
And also, if you're
my landlord won't leave me alone.
The rare reverse eviction.
And also, James, because I know you're currently on the lookout for a new space to live. But let's say in a hypothetical case that your landlord had made 3 complaints about you because you have delightful cats. If they do that 3 times, then. And they can prove it. The report says 3 proven instances. Then you would be considered a perpetrator of antisocial behavior, which means that the government will then deprioritize you from social housing. So you can be evicted and then not have access to social housing anymore.
Huh.
Oh,
how weird. It's almost as though
then,
someone who might be caught in the net of what might be called antisocial behavior might have reasons for this happening, which would also mean that they might actually need social housing. Strange that this would keep happening.
Well, we've got a system in place now that can be fucking kicked out of the house, denied social housing, and then shot for living on the streets.
Mm-hmm. If they go through with this, then perhaps we might actually get a resurgence of Maoist thought in the UK. So, maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But anyway, since we're on the topic, you might have been kicked out of your private accommodation or your council housing because some asshole has decided that you are antisocial and, you've had no recourse to the law and the judge in any case had to consider the wishes of the landlord first. Let's talk a little bit about the subheading about reducing rough sleeping and begging. Yes. I haven't done it before because it wasn't really interesting before, but they preface every one of these sections with relevant quotes from people who participated in workshops, members of the public who participated in a workshop about antisocial behavior.
A focus group.
Yes, so you can imagine the level of cunt that signs up for this. And here's the one that is at the very top of the rough sleeping and begging section. I'm going to just read the thing. I felt like I had anxiety. It was very distressing. When I walked back onto the road and I was walking really, really fast trying to get to my car, I didn't even go to the shop. I thought, no, I'm not going into the shop, just in case the man begging is following me.
You know what? This attitude is something that is probably one of the most infuriating attitudes I've seen in people that I actually know. I remember being in Brighton once and we were sat outside at a pub and someone came over and have you got any change? And I was like, yeah, sure, gave him my change. And one of the people I was with just having a fit, a panic attack almost over the fact that a person is begging you, begging, they.
A person is asking you for some change or something,
yeah. And their problem was that they found it embarrassing, and I was like, "This is your problem. This is the problem that you are having with a person having to beg for money." Yeah, I'm sure that person was absolutely loving having to go up to strangers and literally beg for coins.
Yeah,
fucking awesome.
The absolute
just completely devoid of humanity.
The absolute worst cunts are when you stop to give someone change on the street and someone fucking admonishes you for it.
Oh yeah. Well, you get the
you
fucking
don't know where they're going to spend that, and it's hopefully hiring a fucking
mariachi to serenade
you. Sure, if all the city's homeless like clubbed together, they could afford someone.
This is the first paragraph from the rough sleeping section. Restoring pride in place with safe streets and clean parks means we must maintain and enhance our public spaces. Crucial to this is dealing sensitively, yet firmly, with those who, in being unable or not always willing to access the support they need, can cause distress or harm to themselves and others. This, in terms, undermines the overall atmosphere of public safety and community pride. See, you being homeless are actually undermining community pride, and quite frankly, that's why you should be done away with. And no, we shall not be explaining what that means.
They're basically saying we're gonna shaft you, but don't worry, we'll shaft you sensitively but firmly. It's like,
yeah, during this whole section, they keep treading this line with saying like, oh, we must be sensitive to individual needs, and it's not always somebody's fault, and sometimes it's difficult, da-di-da. But then the several next words are, yet, but you must be removed, because otherwise there will be no pride of place as long as you exist in our subdivision.
We are going to hit homeless people with the iron fist of the state. Sorry, the velvet gloved fist of the state.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same thing, Alistair.
It's that fucking little undercurrent of, but they're not willing to access that support. And it's like, motherfucker, what is that support? Like, what is it?
Well, they
really?
do.
What level of fucking support have you got to offer?
Under the what we have done section, they do list a bunch of these initiatives, like Homes of the Homeless, something called the Rough Sleeping Initiative, substance mistreatment centers. Quite frankly, I haven't looked into any of this, so I don't know if any of those programs work or are any good. I'm going to assume, because it's Tories, it's no. But, you know, whatever.
Yeah, judging by the fact that homeless people still exist, I think it's quite safe to say that no, they don't fucking work, and that's why people don't fucking access them. Or have accessed them and have been booted out of them because they're fucking overcapacity or some shit.
Let's also all remember, by the way, that during COVID, there was no homelessness, or, like, vastly eliminated homelessness.
Yeah.
It is politically possible to do this.
But, Alistair, that was at the cost of literally several pennies.
I don't care if it's billions of pennies, frankly.
That's fucking disgusting.
The only reason that homelessness still exists is because they are not yet able to just pull these people into slavery.
Yes. So this is from the How We Will Go Further section. They start with saying no one should be homeless, and therefore we are repealing the Vagrancy Act, which is apparently still in force, which literally makes it a crime to not have a permanent address. I didn't know that was still in place, which is fucking incredible. Anyway, so that's the positive side. Now let's go on to the rest. Police forces and local agencies have, however, made clear that they need more direct tools to help with individuals whose behaviour is causing a nuisance to the public, and, where possible, to move those individuals on and into the support they are eligible for, including where they have refused the help before. So I'm assuming that means you can now be incarcerated or put into a place against your will, you know, far away from any support networks that you have, even though you might be homeless.
Yeah, I mean, let's also elaborate a little bit on homeless people who refuse help in the past. Like that phrase includes homeless people who have been approached to say, like you say, Rob, move to some other arse end of the country. And they've said, no, thank you. At least I know people around here.
Yes.
It's a completely valid reason to say that.
Yeah, 100%. It gets better, though. They councils, but also, or police, I don't really know who's supposed to get these things, but I don't give a fuck. New tools to direct individuals to positive pathways, including accommodation, health support, as well as immigration or asylum services, so individuals who may have turned away help before access the support they need. So now you could just be dropped off at the migration forces.
Giving homeless people even more reason to not want to interact with these fucking services.
The whole point of this is not to actually in any way, shape or form help the homeless. It's just to create a paper-thin veneer justification to allow the, genocide of undesirable populations. That's all this is. It's basically like, look, we just want to...
It's social cleansing.
Yeah, we just want to cleanse the undesirables, but don't worry, it's okay. It's okay for us to do this. That thing you really want to do, it's okay for us to do it. We'll do it for you. We'll sweep it out of sight and out of mind, and everything will be fine. Vote for us.
They will also prohibit. It's again, James. I think you did absorb the whole like Tony Blair thing a bit too much. They want to prohibit organized begging, which is a thing. Begging gangs, that thing that you encounter all the time, everywhere.
Well, no, right. I'm gonna stop here. Right, like begging gangs do exist, but it goes hand in hand with modern slavery. And oops, what's that thing that we want to like deprive the population from being able to benefit from if they're like immigrants or anything like that? It's the modern slavery laws. Like,
yes,
what? Fuck off. Making the problem worse so that we can solve it, and make society worse is just like.
But it's not just organized begging. By the way, they will also prohibit begging where it is a public nuisance, such as cash points, shop doorways, on public transport, approaching people on the street, and any broader incidents that can cause nuisance, distress, or blight. So if Mavis sees you on the street, then you're a nuisance.
It's basically It is genuinely making an underclass that the cops can just abuse even more than they already do. It's like unpersoning them at this point.
Yeah, but now it's legitimate because this same plan will introduce powers for the police and local authorities to address rough sleeping and other street activity where it is causing a public nuisance, such as by obstructing doorways and pavements, and to clear debris, tents and paraphernalia that can blight an area. So, now they can also destroy your temporary shelter because, your small tent being set up in the corner of a park where Mavis can see it from a great distance and be a theatre view.
This is creating cop landlords.
Yes.
That's what this is doing. Because the reality on the street is going to be like, okay, occasionally people will be cunts and phone it in, but 90% of the time it's going to be a police officer sees you and gets to decide what to do. And have you paid your police officer? Then your police officer will leave your little tent alone.
I'm going to start rattling through this a bit quicker now because it's fucking disgusting. Cops are going to get even more powers, including the aforementioned uniformed local authority wardens, which is fucking incredible. This, by the way, the police powers absorb more than 2/3 of the budget of the total thing. The cop powers will include 72-hour dispersal orders, more public spaces protection orders. Basically, if the cops now deem you a nuisance in a defined area, you can get a fixed penalty of £100 or a fine up to £1,000. They will lower the age limit at which you can be placed under a community protection order, basically an ASBO. There's just going to be more and bigger fines in every category, etc., etc. So just more cops, more,
Fining the homeless notoriously works. The law
as well as fining like a fucking 14-year-old.
Yeah, the law in all its majesty equally prevents the rich and poor from sleeping under bridges. Just like, fucking hell.
They want to talk about some horseshit about building back local pride. This is the introduction quote from some cunt who participated in Oldham. Not a chance you walk around Oldham Town Centre on your own. I have a daughter and I'd rather let her walk around the Arndale Centre. I don't think it's safe to go in.
Probably not, because she's going to get rounded up by the cops.
Yeah. Anyway, so like, blah, blah, the things they've done, town deals, levelling up funds, high street funds, apparently there's a thing called the High Street Heritage Action Zone, which sounds fucking incredible. Has very like big like pinball action.
Was that Sonic Frontiers or?
No, it's something where they like there's more money available to restore like heritage houses. So like the High Street in Oxford, I'm assuming looks nice. I guess that's presumably the kind of thing. But don't worry about it. Look, we've talked a lot about negativity and like crime and punishment and abusing the poorest in society. I want to sell you a big upside to all this, and I think you'll agree this might make it worth it. Out of this 160 million, they are making money available to parks and stuff, to build to restore parks and put some new trees and stuff in. For the whole of Britain, and again, that's like nearly 400 councils, how many millions of pounds do you think are going to go to restoring parks and doing something nice?
One.
It depends. How many parks are there and how much does a sign that says no ball games cost?
Well, if it's done through government outsourcing, then presumably it costs about 7 million a sign. No, it's 5 million. 5 million out of all of this. But don't worry about it. The entire leveling
for the whole
up
country. Just there are no words. There really aren't.
But don't worry about it. I say 5 million, and I know that sounds really, really low, but don't worry about it. There's a similar fund, separate, I should stress, included in the whole levelling up agenda. And that contains, again, for the whole of the country, £9 million. So with the 14, I think you'll find we're set.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to do some math on the pod live. Right, hang on.
An ISO cube that we can all share.
Yeah.
Right, so that 14 million in total are paying at 20 grand a year, which is, not probably enough, but 20 grand a year, that would pay for 700 people to cut the grass across the entire UK.
I'm just thinking, like, the Dread comics really sold Britain short, because I feel like if we were living in that future, then we'd end up with doubling up on the ISO cubes.
Mm-hmm. And also, James, I think, like, that sounds really negative with the people cutting the grass, but imagine it could be so much worse. What if those people were planting trees? That, I think we can all agree, is a scourge. Pay any price, I say. So yeah, they go. It's really funny, by the way, because this whole section is about like actually building local pride, by which they mean like restoring the high street and like making nice buildings and stopping like derelict markets and all that kind of jazz. The moment they start talking about this is the moment they stop talking about money and doing anything. It all of a sudden becomes about leadership from the public, private, and third sectors together. It becomes about high street rental auctions. The only concrete thing, by the way, they say is to tackle antisocial behavior on the high street is more street lighting and CCTV, which are the only real options. Oh, and there's going to be an improvement or whatever to the rules around squats. Instead of having 2 years before you have to take action, before action can be taken, it'll be 6 months. So don't worry about it. The squats are also going to go. Blah blah blah. Prevention, intervention. There's also going to be a 30 million whole country investment in the Play Zones program to build multi-use game areas. Again, divided by 400 councils. How much money is that to build a fucking football pitch? It's not that much.
Child citizen, are you in the appropriate play zone?
The more I've been hearing this, like they call it the antisocial behaviour action plan. I'm beginning to feel like this is the action plan to institute antisocial behaviour by the government. Like,
yes,
it's just creating new categories of behaviour to lock people up with. It's just Jesus wept.
Oh, they also mentioned, by the way, a delightful thing, which I'm fairly sure is another copy of a fucking Labour shite idea, called the National Youth Guarantee, where every young person will have access to regular clubs and activities. And don't we love access to, folks? It also includes, in this same section, by the way, the absolutely delightfully called parenting contracts, where parents can be mandated by the police to ensure their kid goes to school, along with attendance prosecution and fines of up to £2,500 for the parents if the kids don't go. So
like straight up ripping off Labour. Like it's just amazing.
Yeah. That's 100%. That blah blah blah. This is a bunch of they're going to provide £11 million over 2 years for 200 local youth clubs, which is fucking nothing. There is going to be lower age limits for kids to have to interact with the law. Children. This is specifically children who are on the cusp of crime, which sounds delightful.
Like when they've already boosted a car and bought the ski masks and the big sack with swag written on it. And just get them before they make it to the stripy jumper shop.
I think in practice it's going to be they've just turned 14 and they're like Black or Asian. That's going to be like how it's actually enforced.
It's just more prevent shit essentially. Like It's just more of that. Like it's just fucking disgusting. Last bit, they will improve data. Like I said, there's going to be a one-stop. They will. This is wonderful, by the way. They lead the improving data, and their big plan is there will be a gov.uk page dedicated to antisocial behaviour. It will be the ASB hub, which sounds. It's like, what are you going to do? Oh, it's a fucking website. Just go build a web page. Like, all right, cool. Which like the only that's like
project
the only
can begin until someone's made the wiki.
I mean, genuinely the only upside to all this fucking horrendous shit is how desperately underfunded it will be. Like, that's the only thing I can say in its positivity, is that it is fucking dreadfully underfunded, which hopefully means very little of this will happen, except the landlord shit, because that will always happen.
I don't know, Rob. We started this episode talking about fucking Elon Musk and his grand projects, which are overfunded, if anything, and nothing happens. I have a feeling that the innate spite of the UK will make something happen off the back of this, despite there being no money behind it. And it's like the yin to the yang, if you will, is just fuck it. Just, honest to God, Rob, you come back and just, I need a holiday now. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I just wanted to check in, because I know a couple of weeks ago we did Labour Crime Week with you, James. I just wanted to check in, see how Labour feels about these things. They want to ban, they support the NOS ban because it's a blight on communities. And I know Jess Phillips talked about it like 2 years ago already.
Did they by any chance, if you threw a dart at a list of these like proposals, would the Labour response be, we support it, but we think that the government suggestion is too weak and won't be
pretty
effective?
much. Yvette Cooper
would encourage them to go further.
Yeah,
they do.
Would cost too much.
No, actually, Yvette Cooper says none of this plan is going to work out because there's not enough cops. Therefore, we need 13,000 more cops. Mm-hmm. So Labour thinks all this is good. It just doesn't have enough state
more
violence
like
behind
Yvette
it.
Pooper.
Hey,
Got him.
Yeah.
Fucking, like, goddamn, we really are in the metaverse.
Anyway, so just to wrap this up, because I was, as you will understand, I was a little bit furious and very upset after reading all this. Basically, the main thing is this is just a very bad response to a new wave of hysteria whipped up by the papers about youths in parks, which is about as old as fucking time. I know, James, we talked about it a lot with you in the Crime Week thing a couple of weeks ago. This is not new. They do this every fucking 3 or 5 or 10 years. It's just the same thing. Youths are outside. They're sitting in a park. They're not, I don't know, in the fucking linen coat factory doing something productively. They're not being mini landlords or whatever the fuck, they're not in a military academy, so that's why this is bad. Like it's just the same fucking, it's just the same curtain twitching Daily Mail shit that we get served up every fucking couple of years. You can set your goddamn watch to it. Also, by the by, who will not be affected by any of this? The police powers, the fucking interventions, the parenting contracts, all that bullshit, the nuisance orders. I can guarantee you it won't be the fucking horde of football fans shouting and screaming and getting drunk and like raging against BAME people. It won't be the fucking middle-aged couple leaving their, Harrods picnic basket everywhere in the fucking park, will it? No, it won't be. Will it be your local fucking property developer starting illegal drilling and construction at 6 a.m., right outside your fucking window? No, of course it won't fucking be, because those are not the people. Those are the real people in the society. The real people in the society, those pricks, will just be left unaffected by any of this. You have to be poor, you have to be a minority, you have to be unhoused in order for the truncheon of the state in this fucking thing to come on top of your fucking head. And by the way, if we're talking about young people, I had a quick look. Since the fucking Tories came to power in the back of fucking Beyond, because it's probably fucking Thatcher or even earlier, they have cut 70% of all youth services budget. Everything positive, youth centres, whatever, take in Sure Start. I don't give a fuck. At every level, they've gutted and gutted every contact that the state has with young people, except for violence and the intimidation that comes with the fucking rapists and monsters that would give a fucking badge and call them Met Police. We've made the economy more precarious. We've made the housing more expensive. And every single public space has been gutted through council cuts since George goddamn Osborne. And their answer to this is not to fund anything. It's not to do anything nice or proper. No, it's just to hit you with a fucking stick. And that's all there is fucking to it. Also, while I'm fucking talking, consider the following. Your asshole landlord makes up some fucking nonsense about you doing antisocial behavior to kick you out. Why? So they can fucking jack the rents twice over. You've been given 3 warnings. How the fuck are you getting out of this? You can't, because you have 2 weeks to find a new house. You can't fight your landlord. There's no access to fucking legal representation. Where the fuck are you going to live? That's fucking nowhere, because now you've been deprioritized from social housing. So now you end up on the street. Nearly all social functions now require banks, phone contracts, all the other shit you need to live, require a fixed address. So you don't have that anymore. So maybe you lose your job because, you don't look so good anymore because you don't have access to a goddamn shower. Maybe you beg in the street, but now you can't do that anymore either. You can't fucking sleep in the street anymore either because this fucking piece of shit plan tells the fucking cops they could pull you out of a goddamn doorway in the middle of the night, put you on a bus to the middle of fucking nowhere because Mavis, the fucking hedgerow bitch, has fucking told on you because she has nothing better to do, which has been really the Daily Goddamn Mail. How the fuck are you supposed to have a life in any of this? How are you supposed to reorganize your life? How are you supposed to do anything? What the fuck are you supposed to do when you have kids in this society, in this system, when it fucking comes down on you like a fucking jackboot? And don't think you're going to be exempt from it, because the class of people protected in this country, the middle class, the upper middle class, whoever the fuck, the Eton and Harrow class, that fucking lifeboat is sinking every goddamn day, and you are not going to be included pretty soon. You're going to be along down here with the rest of us and just hitting people harder so some home county psycho can live in an Enid Blyton book, including all the nice 1950s slurs that we were also worried about with Roald Dahl a couple of weeks. They won't do shit. You don't get a society. You don't get a nice, vibrant town centre by systematically fucking over people with no money. I hate this. I hate Labour because they won't change this. I hate all of this. And this is a fucking indication of a fucking dying disease society. And quite frankly, you deserve better. Anyway, I'm done talking now. I'm going to... Shall we just close the episode?
What we need to do, right, is like rise up and do more crime.
I fucking hate it. I genuinely hate all of this. Anyway, shall we do some plugs and things? Or
no, fuck you. It's comment or commentary at time.
Oh, Christ. well, then we
get it up, you. Yeah. If you weren't fucking miserable after that, you will be now.
Yeah, all right, cool. Let's fucking get it.
We really do need to do something about all this horrendous antisocial behaviour, this reckless destruction, and all these hooligans destroying everything around them through boredom and lack of direction. Perhaps a general election. Comment or commentary.
Commentariat.
Commentariat.
Comment Guardian.
Don't know.
Fair enough. Comment Guardian.
Yeah, there you go, Rob.
Britain does have a great progressive tradition independent of socialism, largely rooted in the best.
Oh, yes.
Get the fuck out of town.
Largely rooted in the best of new liberalism, common law, and our early embrace of democracy.
Go fuck yourself.
Our core values, fairness, tolerance, kindness, openness, admiration for those who dare, championing the underdog, are also fundamentally progressive. The political problem for the liberal left is that it has never marshalled these forces successfully into a sustained political project or party.
I mean, could you muster a fart into a fucking political direction? I don't...
Oh, well, speaking of, instead of uniting in the manner of US Democrats, British progressivism has been fatally divided between a largely workers' party committed to utopian socialism, at least in its rhetoric, and a middle-class party that so hankers after conservative acceptance it has only a weak progressive spine. Comment or commentariat.
This is Richard Osman giving the worst best man speech you've ever heard.
Yeah. I'm jumping on Jamie's coattails. This is commentariat, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was Richard Osman.
Commentariat.
I'm fairly sure I read this. This is Simon Jenkins in The Guardian, I want to say.
Close. This is Will Hutton, who is an Observer columnist.
Oh, well, that's the same fucking person wearing a different hat, and fuck both of them.
I totally refuse to watch or read anything other than the authentic film or book. Any modifications should be indicated at the start of any film, and books should indicate that this is not the original text. I find the phasing out of the original work disturbing and akin to book burning. Comment or commentary.
This is me when I'm comparing the Lord of the Rings extended edition to the regular release.
It's like, when you're not allowed to read slurs to your children anymore, that's just like Nazi Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, ironically, I am against them rewriting these books because I'm of the view that if the books contain this shit content, let them die and write new ones. You know, just
I think there's too many books. I think we should stop writing them until we figure out what's going on.
Yeah, that and newspapers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just ban words.
Yes, this is what I've been saying is you're like the apotheosis of Jamie.
Let's go with commentary on this one, David.
I'm going comment.
It could be literally any cunt on this cursed fucking landmass.
Yes.
I can't believe anybody's still concerned about fucking Roald Dahl after all this goddamn time. Like, that was aeons ago.
Is this that fucking... It's a comment, and it's by that fucking cunt that like is in the royal family of like.
Yeah, I was about to say he's been going through
or whatever it is.
Yeah, he's Roald Dahl's grandson, and he's been going through a rough time. So let's all give him a break. But he's part of royal.
It's hard out here for a fucking conservative brony and or a royalist fucking like police community support officer.
I've got no idea. It might have been him, but it was a comment in the Daily Mail.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Britain, of course, also had a civil war and a revolt against the king. But we have chosen to make continuity and evolution our national myth, rather than revolution and violent overthrow.
Having a go at the French?
And I think that is a better choice. Continuity and evolution means living with injustice for longer, and idiosyncrasy for even longer than that. The slogans of evolution are less attractive, and the legitimacy of our institutions sometimes harder to justify on paper. But in practice, they are more likely to promote liberty, advance equality, and create fraternity than celebrating overthrow and chaos. The best way to make progress is slow, imperfect, and peaceful. A better tomorrow can be built on an imperfect yesterday. Even our mistakes can be integrated into our national story. Mm-hmm. Even deformed institutions can be slowly improved rather than being swept away. Comment or commentariat?
Commentariat.
This is the last continuity remainer speaking through like 1,000 layers of tinfoil.
That was Daniel Finkelstein in the Times.
Oh,
yeah.
Lord Finkelstein. We should be so fucking lucky.
He was atting the pub before about like whining about like why don't we debate him in the marketplace of ideas. That was fucking fascinating.
Right, last one.
Go on.
It pains me to say, I think it's a lost battle. If any changes are made, we will be forced into having British summertime all the year round, because that's what the government, the elite, the BBC, and all right-thinking opinion desire, and they will not rest until they get their way.
Comment Mike Gates.
In the 1960s, a 3-year experiment was introduced imposing British summertime all year round. I don't know what result was expected, but the idea was roundly rejected and then dropped. In fairness, we should have then had 3 years of GMT to see the reaction, but we were never given this opportunity in case we might prefer it.
Is this that left-wing Nazis cunt?
Like nailed on it is that guy, yeah.
It's commentariat and it sounds like Christopher Hitchens. If not, it's
it is 100% Christopher Hitchens in the mail.
Comment on the Hitchens blog in the Mail on Sunday.
Oh, fucking bait and switch. That's just that's just not fair.
Yeah, well, life isn't fair. Okay, well, on that note, let's wrap this up, shall we? So, plugs, you can join us on the Patreon, patreon.com/praxiscast, £5 a month. We will be releasing very, very shortly, if not on the same day, another episode which will have some Scott Paul on it to discuss the new First Minister and the election of...
you did hear that right. We reserve Scott Paul, which weirdos among you want to listen to. Well, now you have to pay us.
Yep.
That's the only way we're doing Scott Paul.
It's the only way I can
it's actually it's not. It sounds bad, but it's actually danger pay for me. That's why we're doing it that way. You can also get us on Twitch, twitch.tv/praxiscast. Just keep a little eye out. We've been a little bit off the schedule for that, but it should be Thursday nights.
I'm not dying anymore.
And Wednesday nights.
And Wednesday nights, Thursday nights. So just keep an eye out there, and you can buy merch at praxiscast.tmail.com. Get yourself a t-shirt. And with that, we'll catch you later.
Yeah, bye-bye.
See ya.
Take
Good
care.
luck.